You're listening to Audiology. Support this channel by becoming a member and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. Nestled between branches of the Mekong River and interlaced with smaller canals and rivers, the town of Bến Tre is located just 13.3 kilometers south of Mai Tho. Back in 1967, around 74,544 people called it home, serving as the heart of Kien Hoa Province, an unusual island province entirely surrounded by water and lacking any bridge connections to its neighboring four provinces. In January 1960, Bến Tre was the backdrop for a significant event in the history of Vietnam when Nguyen Thi Dinh, one of the very few high-ranking female members of the Viet Cong, spearheaded the first major armed uprising against the South Vietnamese government in the area. This bold move saw Dinh's forces taking over 10 governmental buildings and eliminating 43 individuals. However, after 10 days, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam managed to reclaim control of the city. Although Dinh's effort to create a lasting free zone was not successful, this act of rebellion became a source of great motivation for Viet Cong fighters in the South. Bến Tre's critical role as a starting point for the southern insurgency and the rural terrain surrounding it, ideal for guerrilla warfare, led the Viet Cong to use this area as a key base throughout much of the 1960s. Army Brigadier General William Robertson de Sobry, advising the IV Corps in 1968, captured the essence of the challenge in Bến Tre, describing the population as divided and largely indifferent to the Saigon government. He noted that the 7th Army of the Republic of Vietnam Division had struggled to make significant inroads in the area for the past 2 years. Interestingly, despite the strong Viet Cong influence in the countryside of Kien Hoa Province, Bến Tre remained relatively peaceful just a few months before the Tet Offensive. On the 31st of January, the Viet Cong launched attacks on 13 out of 16 capital cities within the Mekong Delta, managing to gain control over significant parts of Mai Tho, Cai Lei, Bến Tre, Cai Bê, and Vinh Long. In the early hours of that day, starting at 4:15 in the morning, around 800 Viet Cong fighters from the 518th Main Force and the 516th Local Force Battalions commenced their assault on Bến Tre. The city's defense consisted of 2 battalions from the Army of the Republic of Vietnam's 1st Brigade, 7th Division, complemented by approximately 70 American advisors from the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Advisory Team 93, and personnel from the Central Intelligence Agency, all based within the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Compound. This compound, a significant military complex enclosed by a 10-foot-tall masonry wall, was located in the heart of downtown Bến Tre. Despite their efforts, within 16 hours, the Viet Cong had almost completely taken control of the city and several nearby fishing villages along the south bank of the Bến Tre River. The only area remaining under Allied control was a small 4-square-block zone encompassing the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Compound, the provincial headquarters, the main station of the Republic of Vietnam National Police, and an Army of the Republic of Vietnam Logistics Compound. Meanwhile, 2 Army of the Republic of Vietnam battalions from the 10th Regiment were trying to enter the town, but were hindered significantly after their commander was killed in an assault. Although the United States Mobile Riverine Force was primarily engaged in rescuing Mai Tho, the defenders of Bến Tre largely depended on air power and naval gunfire from patrol boat, Rivers of the United States Navy River Section 534, to prevent the Viet Cong from taking over completely. Patrol boats 720 and 721 were surveying the Ham Luang River near Bến Tre when they detected gunfire. Initially mistaking it for Vietnamese soldiers celebrating the Tet holiday, they soon recognized the distinctive green tracer rounds used by the Viet Cong and proceeded to investigate along the Bến Tre River. About a mile downriver, they encountered 6 Republic of Vietnam Navy landing craft vehicle personnel, engaging the enemy on the river's south bank. Before long, the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Compound, called for support from the patrol boat Rivers, which moved to engage. Despite coming under fire, the geographical advantages of low tide and high riverbanks meant the Viet Cong had difficulty hitting the patrol boat Rivers, with most of their shots missing. The patrol boat Rivers responded with 50 caliber machine gun fire, using a variety of ammunition types, quickly silencing the Viet Cong attackers. After the brief firefight subsided, The two patrol boat rivers idled near the Military Assistance Command Vietnam compound until they were replaced by other patrol boat rivers and went to USS Harnett County, anchored on the Ham Luang River, to resupply fuel and ammunition. Patrol boats identified as PBR 713 and 714 faced an attack near the Bến Tre Bridge, receiving fire from the canal's south bank. When a rocket or mortar round struck PBR 714, it caused light injuries among the crew. Help arrived quickly, with additional PBRs from various river sections joining the fight. They launched a counterattack against VC forces trying to cross the bridge from south to north, near the Bến Tre marketplace. Specifically, PBR 718, equipped with a 60mm mortar, used white phosphorus and high-explosive shells to hit targets near the MACV compound. Sailors armed with M72 Law rockets attacked VC concealed in buildings, igniting them. The situation escalated as PBR 718 took a direct hit from VC rocket-propelled grenades, disabling its controls and sustaining over 40 hits before PBR 716 was able to tow it to safety after a fierce exchange of fire. Air support arrived not long after the marketplace was attacked, starting with Navy helicopters from HAL-3, which immediately targeted VC near the MACV compound. They were soon supported by U.S. Air Force AC-47 Spooky gunships and the USS Harnett County. The USS Harnett County's actions were particularly noteworthy, delivering more than 20,000 rounds of API shells and significantly impacting the area by destroying various structures and enemy defenses. On the ground, reinforcements from the U.S. 9th Infantry Division landed on the 1st of February, with specific companies arriving by helicopter to strengthen the MACV compound's defensive line. The following day saw additional troops deployed, confronting heavy resistance and engaging in urban warfare which was unfamiliar to them, leading to significant challenges. The units, facing a battalion-size force of VC, were pinned down but eventually gained ground thanks to air support which dislodged VC fighters, allowing the soldiers to advance. By the 5th of February, after days of intense fighting and strategic coordination between ground forces and air support, the U.S. units managed to clear the area of VC forces, illustrating the challenge of urban combat and the importance of combined arms tactics. As summarized in the 3rd Brigade's after-action report, the operation required meticulous house-to-house and street-by-street combat to flush out the Viet Cong from the city. During the Battle of Bến Tre, U.S. forces eliminated 328 Viet Cong fighters, which accounted for the majority of the conflict. The civilian population in Quien Hoa Province was hit hard, with 528 people losing their lives and 1,219 getting injured. The battle caused severe destruction in Bến Tre, with over 5,000 homes demolished and more than 30,000 people becoming refugees in Bến Tre and the adjacent Mo Khai district. Major James K. Gibson of the U.S. Air Force, who served as a forward air controller pilot in Bến Tre, pointed the finger at the Viet Cong for the choice of Bến Tre as a combat zone. He explained, "The way we selected these targets was determined by the Viet Cong. They chose the battleground and we really had no choice where we put the target." This quote highlights the strategic dilemmas faced by U.S. forces during the battle. On February 7th, journalist Peter Arnett from the Associated Press arrived in Bến Tre to cover the conflict happening there. During his report, he shared a quote from an anonymous U.S. major who said, "It became necessary to destroy the town to save it." This quote quickly spread across American media, and as historian William H. Hammond from the United States Army Center of Military History notes, it became a highly quoted and memorable phrase, especially among those opposing the war. Arnett has always kept the identity of the officer he quoted a secret. A 2018 article by Bloomberg News pointed out that some people, especially on the conservative side, suspect Arnett might have made up the quote. However, the article also explored how the idea of destroying something to save it has been used historically, suggesting that the major might have been drawing on a long-standing metaphor rather than the quote being fabricated by Arnett. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.